Welcome, everyone. I guess we're already in guest mode, so I should
Alright.
announce us both. I'm Alex Patterson, your host of FusionAuth TownHall. We're in version 0.4. My guest today is my other cohort in DevRel land, Mark. What's going on, Mark?
Oh, nothing. Just another beautiful day.
We had to postpone. I've been sick, and I think Mark is a little under the weather.
Yeah, yeah. The virtual virus, I guess, over the internet are contagious.
That's right, from Michigan all the way down to Arizona, right?
Yep, yep.
I always think Denver. Everyone else is in Denver. So, jumping into the news, if you haven't heard, which would be a shock because I think we did a pretty okay job on our socials, FusionAuth announced our 65 million round of funding. So, thanks to Updata. So, huge shout out to the team. We're basically new to the team, so can't take any credit of what they have accomplished here. This is just kind of the next step. We're going to start growing faster, hopefully hire some more people and keep moving into this auth space, which is kind of crazy, ever changing, ever building. So it's a good, exciting moment in the time for FusionAuth.
But yeah, big news. Very, very exciting to be around.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple good blog articles. Just a note from our CEO, Brian. As you can see right here, that's Brian. So give him a shout out for sure on socials or email or however you want to. Just give him huge props for this accomplishment and the team. Also, kind of a little bit more of a breakdown, talking about Updata and who they are. That's in this separate blog post here. Kind of covers, why the decision to move that way, what FusionAuth is, and kind of that standpoint going forward. And if you're lucky enough to be on all the tech crunches like I am, you should have gotten this crazy exclamation point version of it as well. So, three different ways to kind of read the news and check those out. I'll put them in the description once we get done here.
Nicer
Big.
company.
What's that, Mark?
It couldn't happen to a nicer company.
I know it. Great people. That's the main reason why I ended up here. Really, I was between a few on the DevRel path, and I got to tell you what, in the interviews, it just shines how awesome the team is, and I think there's some links in there too. One of the top places to work in Denver and things like that. So definitely check those articles out further. One thing that kind of popped in while I was gone, I had to actually read this release note as well. We quickly, we released 1.48. I think I announced the early version of that last time, but we quickly had to go to 1.48.1 because some of these people that have multiple millions of users ran into a couple small issues. So we had to throw out a patch real quick. So definitely, if you upgrade, go to this 1.48.1 version of it. You can read all about what the issue was and kind of how that resolved really quickly in the latest post. And the main reason Mr. Mark here is here today is this blog post all
Yeah.
about creating .NET web applications with FusionAuth templates. And I'm excited, Mark. I'm not a huge .NET guy, as you know, but I did test some of this for you. And so if I can get it, I think most people will understand this, right?
Yeah, yeah. You and me both excited. I do have a pretty, extensive background with Microsoft and .NET, and couldn't be happier that these templates came out. Like I said, one of our jobs here is with in developer relations, I believe, is to help reduce like the overhead, that's associated with creating applications. And when you're adding, customer access management and all that stuff, you know, if you try to roll your own, it can be very time consuming and all that. So these templates will help you get up and run with .NET in no time.
Nice. So at this point, I think unless I don't see any questions flowing in, what we're going to do is do a kind of a deep dive, not deep dive, a quick start version of the .NET templates. Mark, you ready to share?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Let's do this.
Put up the screen there. All right. So the first thing we're going to need is instance of FusionAuth to bang against, right? I know a couple times you've talked about our quick starts and that sort of thing. So You can use a lot of different languages with FusionAuth. Obviously, we'll be working with .NET here today. So what I'm going to do, just to get it going from scratch, I'm going to clone one of our quick start instances. And then I'm going to switch to that directory. Spin up the Docker. Takes a couple seconds.
If people haven't used our quick starts before, just something of note in here, the Docker compose file and the kickstart, what goes on in here is it's actually standing up not only our instance of FusionAuth, but a PostgreSQL and Elastic instances within the Docker space as well.
Yeah, exactly, right. So in the repository that we cloned, we've got the Docker compose YAML and our kickstart directory that helps populate things. So heck of a segue, almost like we planned it. Go ahead and jump into my FusionAuth instance. You see, one of the things that we get with our kickstart is, it's pre-populated with a couple users and a couple applications. This is our example .NET app and that sort of thing. So we make sure we've got all of our settings here, right out of the box. Right? So that's how easy it is to get up an instance to bang against. And like I said, if you already have an instance running or we're hosting it for you, those work well too.
Yeah, and also I just updated our 5-minute quick starts. If you ever want to use our sandbox just to test out features, especially things that are on the paid side of things and not on the free version, you can go to sandbox.fusionauth.io and check those out too.
Okay. So now we get into the really interesting stuff, right? And there's a couple different ways that you can get access to our Visual Studio templates, right? If you go to the Visual Studio Marketplace on the web, search for FusionAuth, you can get the templates here. We also have them available as NuGet packages. Oops, sorry. Right, and I'll show you how to use these here in a little bit. But since we are working with .NET, we're going to go to Visual Studio here. I'm going to open a blank solution. So when you're in Visual Studio, you can also go to Manage Extensions, Visual Studio Marketplace, search for FusionAuth. I've already got them installed here, as you can see. If not, there'll be an install button, and you have to restart it once they're installed. But as you can see, I have them installed already. So once they are installed, this is how easy it is to create an application. Just go to select a new project. You see I've been working on them here in the recents. I'm going to select my FusionAuth templates. For today, I'm going to open up a NVC app. I got to give it a name now. Let's call this our TownHall example. And now it's going to prompt me for some information, right? So this is where you put information about your FusionAuth instance, where it's located, your application ID, and for development purposes, it's only quick. Close your eyes so I can put in my super secret password here. Then I'm going to go ahead and create the application.
And those just for folks who don't know or don't know where to find that, can you show in FusionAuth instance where those would normally come from?
Absolutely. Let's come back over here.
Sorry to make you log into our super secret user again.
Yeah. Yeah, so in your application, right, you have your application ID here, right, and
if you click that little magnifying glass, I think it has all of them.
There you go.
Yeah, just scroll down a little bit.
Yep. Right, so this, all your configuration.
Yep. Cool. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right, let's get back in here. So as you can see, when we put in our password for development, right, it's stored in our development JSON here. This is not something you obviously want to do in production, right? You keep this as an environmental variable some other secure storage. But the good news is when you when you start the template and you have the settings enabled and you put in the right ones, you should be able to just.
So you actually just went from your local application and it bounced you into the FusionAuth instance to log in.
Yep. It started the application, right? The .NET application. Uh,
Gotcha.
so with the template, right, you get a couple things. You can view some claims right out of the box,
That's
right?
really
So
cool.
now just spinning up the template, I've got user management and access and everything set up. And we've got a little bit of time here. Show you how easy it is to add a couple things, right? So say I want to add a different page, right? We're using MVC, so I've got to add a new item. Call this the make change view model, right? And since the point of this isn't coding .NET application, I got a little bit of code here. I'm going to copy and paste so you don't have to see me type. And basically, this is just a model that's got a couple properties: the mount that you want to make change for, errors, messages, and calculate change function, right? That has an array of change, quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, and it just loops through deducting them until we get the message about how much change you have. So,
And for a non.NET guy, this is running server side?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. So now that we have the model, we need to create the view for it. So we're going to go to my account. I'm going to add a view. We'll start with an empty one here. And we'll call this the make change view. And then I'm going to paste a little HTML in here for you. So you can see we're going to use our make change view model, right? And we're just going to display some message. We're going to have an input for the amount and a button to submit it. And now we've got the view and the model, but we need a way to get to it, right? So we need to edit our menu items. And in our templates, under shared layout, you get to see how we work the magic between displaying the non-authenticated menu and the user authenticated menu, right? So if the user is authenticated, these are the items that we display. You can see profile, logout. And now we're going to add our make change. We also need to make it look pretty. And then the last item we're going to need, where all the magic happens, is in our account controller, right? Once the user clicks on it, we got to tell the application where to go. So I'm going to create a new function here. And the important thing to note here is this authorize attribute, right? This is saying, hey, anybody that's trying to access this page, make sure you use all that OAuth magic and make sure that they've got access to it.
And is that like a public package? What is that authorized
Yeah.
from?
So our templates are using the Microsoft .NET Core authentication, OpenID Connect.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Right. So you get a bunch of this stuff for free. So now if I copied and pasted everything correctly, I'm going to run the application again. And I can tell already I didn't paste something correctly because I've got an extra line in there.
Hopefully it'll still run.
Yeah. So if I want to make change for 890, hey, and it works.
Nice.
All right.
Because we all need to know how much.
Right. This is make change 2.0, right? And then one of the things I do want to point out, right? So if I log out of my application here and I try to go directly to it, right, it knows that I've logged out and I no longer have access to this.
Nice. And the callback, like once you authenticate, does it know to take you to that page?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There So if a user does bookmark it or whatever, right, they can go straight to it. But obviously, this is just a .NET template, right? So you
Yeah.
go
I
ahead and
love how, like, even though I asked the question, it's going over to FusionAuth, that make change page, like it looks like it's part of that application with the like login looking like that. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah, like I said, I think there's definitely a good base here, right?
Yeah.
But I know there are some folks out here in our viewership that are big fans of Apple and Mac,
I'm
and
gonna
so
just slowly raise my hand.
and so, ooh, let me see if I can pull that back up. Give me 1 second here. All right, if we come back over here and hit our NuGet gallery, right? All you have to do is type in .NET install or FusionAuth templates, right? Once .NET is installed on your Mac, and then from there, I should be able to issue a command, right? So .NET is the runtime. I'm creating a new FusionAuth MVC web app. I've got my client secret, right, and the name of my application. And then I'm going to change directories. And then I'm just going to simply run the template. You see here is running on 501. Pull up my Safari browser here. You see that okay?
Yeah, that looks good.
And all of a sudden, I've got my application running on a Mac using the same templates.
I feel like that was way easier than the other way, don't you? So if people are coding, typically on the Mac side of things, at least when I tested this for you, and again, I just walked through the steps. I had no real clue of what was going on.
Okay.
When I opened up the code, I opened it in VS Code, and I was able to just run .NET from there. So it feels like, since I wrote .NET, probably it's been 7, 8, 10 years ago, things have changed a lot, kind of using the new .NET Core instead of all the old .NET ways, right?
Right. You're trying, the like what was it what was the old Java saying, right? Run once, run everywhere, right? And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
still doesn't really work for everybody and everything, but most platforms are trying to get to that, and so was .NET.
No, I love it. That's a really cool example. Any other .NET things we need to show people? Probably our quick start, I would imagine, is a good place, which you kind of brought up. Let me bring that up real quick.
Now I do know currently the current version of .NET is .NET 7, and I think .NET 8 is in release candidate 2.
Okay,
So fairly shortly we'll probably have to be updating all of these. I know there is a .NET Web Quick Start, and there is a .NET backend API Quick Start that is currently under review. So that should
cool.
be
So I'll be out here pretty soon then. Nice, sweet.
and
If you want to figure out any other ways to boot up FusionAuth, we do have our 5-minute guides down here at the bottom now. As you can tell, we're doing a couple docs updates, so hopefully those will flow through completely pretty soon. But yeah, you can check out any of our 5-minute guides down here. The way that Mark was showing it is probably the most common through Docker. There's a video out here that shows how to complete that now. You can access that and see all the different versions of how you can run FusionAuth, including our own hosted version for you. So what am I missing? There's a
no,
.NET SDK, right? Am I wrong about that?
well, the what about the SDK?
We do have a .NET version,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
But what I was going to say is like one of the nice things about the template and FusionAuth is that like with FusionAuth too, right? It can run on many different platforms. So as you saw here, I just developed locally on my box with everything, but with a couple settings, you can point it towards a test instance in on the net or a server in a different location just by changing the settings.
Cool. Love it. Any other last thoughts, Mark, before we close out this version 0.4 town hall?
Nope. I'm just glad the templates are out so I can be part of the conversation.
Love it. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I hope everyone joins us again next week. It should be on Thursdays. I apologize for this week having the illness, but we'll dive in again next week. We'll see y'all then.
All right, bye. Thanks for having
Stay awesome.
me. There you go.
When you build an app, writing a login, registration, and user management system seems simple. But pretty soon you're implementing complex standards like OAuth, OpenID Connect, and SAML. Plus, you'll need to build out additional login features. And don't forget all the acronyms you need to comply with. Secure Auth is not optional, but the time that it takes to build it is. Save time and use FusionAuth. FusionAuth provides authentication, authorization, and user management for any app. It's built for devs to deploy anywhere and integrate with anything in minutes. Seriously, anywhere, anything, and in minutes. FusionAuth installs on any platform, any device, anywhere in the world, including AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and other clouds. And it scales to hundreds of millions of users. To keep user data safe, FusionAuth provides all the controls you need to manage passwords and comply with security requirements and regulations. When users log in with FusionAuth, they'll see your brand, not ours. Theme login pages, style emails, and localized messages to ensure your brand is front and center. And FusionAuth comes with a pre-built management UI to manage and report on users. So stop grinding on Auth and go build something awesome. Get started using FusionAuth for free. Wait, for free? Are we sure that's supposed to be like that?